Golfers of YouTube, welcome back to another video. Understanding the driver's power, strengths and weaknesses can be one of the best things to play better golf. Knowing where you can release the driver, knowing where you've got to pat the driver, knowing where you can't hit driver is probably the part where I made most sense of actually how to play, how to get lower scores. Everyone kind of thinks, you know, especially on this golf course, that I hit driver everywhere. That's because it's quite forgiving. It's quite a forgiving golf course. And there's places where I won't hit driver, you know. So on the 3rd, I won't hit driver. It'll get me into too much trouble. On the 7th, I pretty much won't hit driver, you know, because it's kind of a short par 4 and I'm trying to give myself a perfect yardage. On the 6th, it is probably drivable, but you're surrounded by 2 massive oak trees by the green. So if it clogs into one of them, you're going to be really close to, you know, and you could block yourself out. So understanding your golf course, understanding the yardage that you want left in on a hole and working the hole backwards can be really, really good. Now, you might be really good with a driver, you might be actually really bad with a driver, and it's your job to understand how you get better. One thing that I've always kind of trained upon is learning to kind of hit it from the inside. I think if you try and hit this from the outside and come down on it with an open face, you're going to do nothing but slice the golf ball. So again, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set up the golf balls to kind of show that and see if it kind of makes sense to you. So there you go. So obviously on the last video we talked about literally, you know, being able to release your hip up into your golf swing and not sliding across. Now, because you may slide, it might cause one of these issues. So let me just zoom in on these golf balls. So again, an understanding is, you know, if we were to slide, we keep the driver out here, and then when we come back down, the driver is this way, coming across, exit left. So there we go. And realistically, how the driver kind of wants to go out is that way. So here, hands up, and then from there, you can then follow that path through. Now, what kind of goes wrong a little bit is the opposite way. So there's many golfers that I've kind of seen, taught and understand that roll the club inside, and then from there the only place it can go is outside to come back down because they get themselves stuck. So what I always try and say is, you know, if we can take the club out in front of you more, okay, rotate up, and then from there start turning through but leaving the club behind, you get there. So an easy thing to kind of do here is to kind of put the driver across your shoulders, okay? So you can have the face out if you want to, and instead of this motion where you can see, like if I stand really close now, instead of this motion where it kind of follows that line across, you know, that outside line, is you've got to think inside and out, if that makes sense. So instead of this where right shoulder kind of gets high and across, you got to think right shoulder stays low and around, okay? Then it's just your job to control the face. Now, you can do it a number of different ways. So what I always say is, no matter how open your face is, if you rotate hard, you'll square that face up. And what I mean by this is if I kind of put the club here and I just turn it with my hands, that club stays open. Whereas if I put the here and rotate, see how it shuts itself down itself? That's why I always talk about rotation and finding a rotational feel. Now, if you're just going to rotate like here, but then exit left, you're just always going to hit that big slice. So you've got to learn a bit of synchronicity, which again will be a future video. Don't get me wrong. You know, I love talking about synchro, but understanding all them to kind of come together and hit golf shots. Okay. So let's put that in now into actual, like, you know, real versus feel and all that. So again, it's just an understanding of how to hit golf shots. You know, understanding the golf swing, understanding why it makes a big difference. Okay, so first one, how we're supposed to do it. So again, we'll aim probably at that yellow flag and hit the golf ball. And that's dead over that yellow flag. Couldn't hit it any more straighter if you tried. Now let's look at the different one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to move these out, because I'm really going to basically exaggerate the feel, exaggerate the move. So what I mean by that is I'm really going to move forward, slam into it. So here, and you can just see how much. So that started probably 80 yards left of the yellow flag, and it's moved to about 40 yards right of the yellow flag. That kind of for me shows the, you know, the difference of, obviously I moved my head away from that time, so all I could do was kind of cut it across. You've got to understand your golf swing. You've got to go and see a guy who, you know, there's many PGA pros out there, but you've got to kind of understand, find someone who understands your golf swing. Again, there's certain PGA pros that I massively would go to for short game, putting, swing advice and everything else, but they're not the same people. So the same person who would go for short game advice won't be the same person who would go for mechanical swing tips. Same person who would go for putting, you know, specializes on putting. So you've got to find the guy that works for you. And I think even as an amateur, that's really, really important. So hopefully this gives you a good understanding of like what you're trying to do. So especially like this, so understanding that it's not this motion, you know, from just trying to rush it back down, it's staying patient. And then from here, working it up, back and around. So hopefully that one helps. YouTube, we'll see you later.